Hello folks, it is I, Toothache, and I'm here with a guide for Dynasty Warriors 3 Extreme Legends. This will be a guide for collecting all of the 4th weapons, so I just wanted to show you that I have set the difficulty to hard, and I'm going to turn events on so you can see those. Normally I have them off, but it just makes it easier for me to demonstrate what's going on. I'm going to start with the first one, which is a very good place to start, and most people tend to find that Zhao Yun is the first character they pick up, so I'm going to start there. And then I'm just going to sort of tackle them one at a time, and then we'll get them all done. And after that we'll do the 5th weapons, and maybe any items that people find difficult to find or don't know about, for so on. So the first one is going to be at the Battle of Chang on Liu Bei's forces, and obviously we start with Zhao Yun. So we go through the equipment. At the start I'm also going to show you the weapon itself, since it doesn't appear even after I collect it for a second time. So this weapon is the Theist Dragon, has a fire element, 43 base attack, also adds 25 attack on top of that, with a Musou Max plus 80, hit point max plus 74, defense plus 52. The fire element attacks are on his charge 5 and his charge 6, makes it very powerful actually. It's one of my favourite of the 4th weapons, but since normally you'd start with a 3rd weapon in order to get the 4th, so I'm going to demonstrate that here. Excuse me. With this Dragon Spear, has an extra attack 18, plus bow defense plus 40, which is very nice. Items, I chose to start with the Musou Armor, Tiger Amulet, Wave Musou, Tortoise Amulet, and the Red Hair Saddle. It is recommended to start with a horse, either one is fine. Or you can collect a horse later on in the stage, but a horse is necessary at some points. So, yeah, bodyguards doesn't really matter. I like them, have them shielding. So, with everything else started, let's begin. And I'll talk about the requirements for the weapon as we go.
Plan on running from this battle. Protect the people on the way to Han Shui. I am Xiahou Dun. Come, fight me. I shall give my life in defense of Lord Liu Bei. Leave my lord's unit to me. Not even a dog will pass.
Get off your horse. Right, so the first thing you want to do in the stage is defeat both Xiahou Dun and Zhang Liao, who start right in front of you at the start of the stage. You also want to make sure you kill them yourself and not anyone else. That's true of pretty much all of the 4th weapons, although there are a few exceptions. I have to resort to a Musou attack since he's shielding it up so much. You don't have to pick up the items if you've already got your stats max, but it's a force of habit, I think.
They look strong.
So I'm going to take my horse and go for the other general that's here, and that's Zhang Liao. You can also defeat the gate captains if you want. It's not necessary, but it will make the battle a little easier for your forces. Come on. Use whatever methods you can to get him off his horse, and then when you do that you beat him up and jobs are good. So he's halfway down now, and hopefully this Musou attack should finish him off. Oh, pretty close. So now that they're both down, you can take out the gate captains if you wish, or you can ignore them. Doesn't matter for the weapon requirements. I also need to point out that there is a time limit for this weapon. You need to defeat and beat all the requirements before the ships arrive to take Liu Bei away to safety. Happens about 12 minutes or so into the stage. But you give him plenty of time for that, so it's not really a problem. So both of those are down. The next thing we're going to do is head towards Liu Bei. And this is in order to trigger a cutscene, where you approach Liu Bei riding on a horse, and the general will say something, you know, inspiring, and say, "Oh, I'm going to protect you," yada yada. So Zhao Yun, in this case, will head straight there. In the meantime, since I'm waiting around for Cao Cao to appear, and he appears with his forces 5 minutes into the battle, so I have time to take out Zhu Shu, his sub-general Li Dian, and Cao Hong, who appears in this area once Cao Cao does, as one of Cao Cao's sub-officers. So you're normally given plenty of time for that, and it doesn't add to the requirements, but it's just something there to sort of demonstrate that you can do stuff in between the requirements for most of these. Some of them will be a lot more strict with what you can and cannot kill, but most of them are pretty flexible, so you don't have to worry about, oh, if I kill this guy, am I going to ruin my chances? So there's Li Dian down, and now Zhu Shu, take him off his horse and then beat him up.
Beat me if you can. We must fight well.
Again, you don't have to beat the gate captains here. There are some requirements where the gate captains are involved, but this is not one of them. Some weapon requirements, I should say, probably. And he's nearly down. And I knew that was going to happen. The good thing about fighting Zhu Shu is after his Musou attack, he falls straight to the ground, so he's got less of a chance than other generals to regain health after he knocks you down, which is nice. Do you mind? I'm trying to go away here. Beat you up. So yeah, about now, Cao Hong should be joining the battle, along with Cao Cao and the rest of the sub-officers that come with him. Most of what Cao Cao does is not really going to affect you or the rest of the battle. So here he is with his troops, and taking out Cao Hong prevents this gate from being taken.
You intend to end it here at Shanbon?
So again, it's just to make the battle a little easier. It's not necessary for the weapon requirements.
The enemy officer has fallen to my blade.
So the next thing I'm going to do is head straight to Liu Bei. And in order to trigger the cutscene, you have to be on a horse when you approach him. One thing I discovered is that even if you have a low requirement, say you can only get on certain horses, if you attempt to get on a horse next to Liu Bei and it kicks you off, it still counts you as being on a horse for that cutscene. So there's something nice to know. That's something I discovered during one of my playthroughs. So there's a little tip for you. So if you don't have a horse, or you didn't select one to begin with, all you have to do is climb on a horse, even for a second, and that will be enough to trigger the cutscene. So you'll see it now, because here's Liu Bei.
You will not lay one finger on my lord. I am Zhao Yun.
So yeah, whoever you're playing as, you'll trigger that cutscene and he'll have something to say, and that'll be that. So that's the third requirement done after beating the first two generals. So I'm going to beat Xiahou Dun and Xiahou Dun on the way. And once that's done, I'm going to get the final part of the requirements, and that's to defeat Zhang He. Do you mind? Typical, he regained health after knocking me down. Just for that, you get the Musou attack.
The enemy officer has fallen to my blade.
Now that that's out the way, Zhang He is the last general to defeat. I'm going to ignore his sub-officer in the far right there, sorry. Far left, I should say. I do know my directions. But yeah, Zhang He is the last part of the requirements.
This battlefield will be your last.
And again, make sure you're the one that defeats him and not anyone else. My bodyguards, sorry, are not in attack mode, they're in shield mode, so they're not going to kill him. And the rest of the troops are too far away. So this should be nice and simple.
Don't let anyone get ahead of you.
And he's shielding a lot there. But that's pretty normal on hard mode. So that's the final requirement, and when you've done all that, a supply unit will appear out of the gate over here, so I may as well defeat this while I'm waiting. Get some health. So there will be a supply captain, you beat him up, and he drops the fourth weapon. So just wait for him to appear now. There we are. So it appears right there, just to the north of where the gate is. And there's the weapon. Like I say, I've already picked up the weapons, so I won't get it at the end of the stage. But if you've never had it before, then you will. So all that's left to do now is to end the stage by defeating Cao Cao. I've done too much to get the other requirement for finishing this stage, which is for letting Liu Bei escape. So let's just ignore Zhu Huang here and go straight for the exit. You can defeat any of the other generals if you want, but for getting the weapon it's not required, so I'm just going to leave it. Even though they never did much with it in this game, I like the fact that they've got some weather effects. Mostly just rain. But it's a cool little feature. Later games they did a little more with the weather and stuff. How dare you knock me off? I'm trying to finish the stage here. And the boats haven't even arrived yet, so it shows you how much time you have to play with. It's plenty of time as long as you defeat the stage relatively quickly. I think the boats appear about 12 minutes in.
It is unfortunate to kill one of such skill.
So yeah, you can ignore Yu Jin if you want, but he tends to hang around here. And I'll probably just get rid of him because, whoa, get a bit sandwiched there. And he's a generic sub-officer, so he's not going to be hard to defeat anyway. I'm really getting beaten up here, but he won't take long to put down. Unless something like that happens.
The enemy officer has fallen to my blade.
So yeah, there's a part there, and there's a part by where the gates were that can give you some health if you find yourself running short. Cao Cao, as usual, can be a real pain to fight, so you don't want to let him get you. And there's also... that's the boat arriving.
You finally came. Board the boat. You will be the survivor.
Make use of my true Musou attack there. Watch out for Cao Cao's. And because this is the fourth weapon, he doesn't have a special weapon.
It cannot end here. Not yet.
So like I say, the boats appear about 12 minutes into the stage. So you got to do all the requirements before then, but it's fairly straightforward and you're given plenty of time for it. So you got it all about 10 minutes in, so yeah. So you won't see the fourth weapon show up here, but because I've already had it, but you will see it at the start of the video, so yeah, keep that. Most of these items won't really matter for me, I've got pretty much everything at max. But that's basically it. So save that. Thanks very much for watching. I will see you in the next guide. Take care.